And in that moment, humanity aimed its weapons at a god, not to kill it, but to teach it how to count again. They were fighting an enemy that attacked with memories, with futures that had been stolen away.
With steel and mad equations, they wove a shield to fight against oblivion.
They weren't just saving the surface. They had to restart the very soul of their planet.
But to understand the price of this victory, we must go back to the moment every clock on Earth told the same lie. It did not begin with a bang. It began with a whisper, a tiny, perfect error in the fabric of reality. The machine built to measure progress, the metronome of civilization, was the first to betray it. An entire world suddenly pressed the rewind button, but no one was holding the remote. The sky, once the symbol of freedom, was now bound by the invisible chains of yesterday. Humanity finally realized this was not a malfunction. It was an invasion on the level of physics itself. Even our star bowed to the new rule, a prophecy of the endless night to come. Knowledge, the inheritance of millennia, was unwriting itself, a planetary-scale amnesia. Creation became reverse destruction. Every human achievement was being dismantled by the ghost of its own past. Facing absolute nonsense, for the first time in its history,
We cannot
all of
surrender to
humanity
a
agreed on
concept.
one thing.
We must fight.
They did not pray to the gods. They decided to build their own. They built colossal harps of steel and concrete, hoping to replay the song of time. From the highest peak to the deepest trench, no corner of the planet was left without a foothold of defiance. And in the heavens, they forged new stars. Not for guidance, but for protection. It was the greatest exodus in history. Not an escape, but a fortification of the sky itself. The shield of man was complete, a myth made of titanium and the enemy revealed itself. No face, no form, just an endless, hungry void swallowing reality. The first declaration of war was not a scream, but a single, perfect note.
For tomorrow.
The steel giants were tuning their instruments for the symphony of survival. The shield of the heavens was raised.
Copy that. Shields are up.
The battle for the existence of cause and effect had officially begun. The enemy's first attack was not with fire, but with nonsense. And humanity answered with a single, perfect note of order. They were being attacked not only by the past, but by futures that would never exist. The shield did not just defend it. The enemy was a ghost that attacked with disasters. The sleeping pains of history reawakened to strike again. They used the laws of physics to fight the collapse of physics itself. The enemy learned it no longer bent time, it erased it. The first sacrifice in this war was not an explosion, but an eternal silence.
Retreat.
They could not destroy it, so they imprisoned it. History itself was becoming an army of ghosts. They used the compass of science to fight the specters of war. The past and the present were now at war for the same piece of land. The chaos of time had become a part of everyday life. was surgery on the level of reality, requiring an impossible precision. They had pushed back the past, at least for now. The enemy was rewriting the book of life. They were no longer soldiers. They had become the gardeners of evolution. The enemy was now striking at the very heart of the planet. A defibrillator for an entire world. The war was no longer confined to Earth. They had become shepherds of the celestial body. A battle on an invisible front, the front of information. They fought digital ghosts with weapons made of numbers. The persistence of humanity had angered the monster. The final act had arrived. It was either reality or eternal oblivion. The tsunami of absurdity. The final punch of the enemy. A billion years of history, fast-forwarded and rewound in a single second. The shield of mankind is cracking.
Shield energy at 80%.
The tapestry of reality was being torn to shreds. The steel giants were falling to their knees.
Towers are reaching their breaking point.
When all hope was lost, they had one thing left, a final, desperate gamble.
Initiate the elegy protocol.
A button not for destruction, but for rebirth. They were no longer playing the song of time. They were preparing to scream. The shield was lowered, revealing the spear.
All the
A final
tomorrows
prayer
that
for a
will never
future they
be.
might never see.
Fire.
It was everything they had, all the knowledge, technology, and hope of a species contained in a single pulse of energy. The bullet fired by an entire planet. A strike not meant to kill, but to heal the tear in the fabric of the cosmos. The collision of absolute order and absolute chaos. The shock of logic. The wound of the universe was beginning to close. The nightmare was over. Reality had been reclaimed. Tick-tock, the simplest sound, now the sweetest hymn. The sentinels had finished their duty. The harps of the earth were now silent. They had one. A dawn purchased at an immeasurable price. They fought for simple moments like this. For all the yesterdays to be allowed to sleep, and all the tomorrows to be allowed to arrive. The reconstruction began, not on the ground, but between the stars. History
We
now
call
had
it
a
the
new
resonance
chapter,
event.
one that could only
A
be
war with
understood
no
with quantum
gunshots,
physics.
but one that redefined our reality.
They built monuments to machines, to the silent heroes of steel. The monster was defeated, but its echo would forever haunt the universe. The weapons of yesterday became the wonders of today. The war had left a scar, not just on Earth, but on the map of the cosmos itself. The relics of this war were not bullets, but paradoxes left behind. The world was saved, but it was no longer perfect. A silent thank you to the invisible guardians.
Time
The truth
is a
was too
river.
immense to be understood, so they
We
turned
have
it into a
learned
myth.
that sometimes we must build a dam.
The survivors became the teachers. The price of this peace is eternal vigilance. Nature was slowly embracing the artifacts of the war. They did not celebrate a victory. They remembered a choice. The laws of physics were bent, and they would never be perfectly straight again. Art tries to capture what science cannot fully explain. The man who ordered the greatest war now finds peace in the smallest things. A new generation, raised under the protection of a legend. A reminder of the price of sacrifice. The world was patched up, but the seams would always show. This planet was no longer the same. It was stronger. It was scarred. An entire epic, contained in the smallest of worlds. History is written by the victors. But who writes the history of a war against time itself? The disaster was speculated, and humanity answered.